Hello again. I just wanted to share a little bit more about myself and hope that you will take advantage of the tools that we have available to us and use the media tool for this first assignment. You will ultimately need to use video and audio for some assignments in this class. You'll feel much more connected to each other. I know I feel much more connected to you when I can see and hear you. So I'm hoping that you won't be shy and will talk to us and share a little bit about yourself. So I just want to welcome everybody to class again and to remind you if you have questions or if you're not sure about something, especially this first week, please reach out. I know for many of you, this is going to be your first online class and it takes a little bit of getting used to. So if you've got those questions, please let me know. I hope that you will enjoy the literature we read for this class. I know not all of you are English majors. Many of you are taking this class because it fulfills a requirement, but I hope that you will get something meaningful out of the stories and the novel and the poetry and the drama that we read. I try to make it fun. I try to make it interesting. I try to make it meaningful for everyone. So I hope that that you find a story you like or a poem that you like, even if you think maybe I don't really like poetry and I don't really like reading. I think you'll find something of value in here. So I just wanted to share a little part of one of my favorite pieces of literature. Literature can be defined very broadly. It doesn't necessarily mean that big giant Shakespeare book that you had in high school or the big new novel that appears at Barnes and Noble that's really expensive. Literature can be all kinds of things. So be brave here and feel free to talk about music or poetry or slam poetry or visual literature. I was just looking at some graffiti yesterday that I thought had sort of a literary look to it. It was a word and I couldn't really read it, but I was trying to understand what it meant in the same way we do when we read something for the first time, a novel or a poem. So I am going to read, though, out of a book. This is Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried. And it's an interesting book because it's considered fiction, even though the character is also named Tim O'Brien. And many elements to the story are autobiographical, but he does call it fiction. And it's sort of an ongoing debate about whether where is that line when an author is talking about their own experiences, using themselves as a character, but labels something as fiction. It's set mostly during the Vietnam War, and there is this moment where the character Tim O'Brien has to decide whether he's going to go to Vietnam, he's been drafted, or whether he's going to leave the country and go to Canada. And he's on a river that runs between Minnesota and Canada, and he's trying to decide what he's going to do. And he's 20 or 21, much the same age as many of you, and he's desperate to do the right thing, but he's terrified of going to war. And so he spends a week at this camp, essentially trying to figure out what to do. And I just think it's one of the most beautiful pieces of literature because when you read the whole thing, you really feel like you're there with him and you feel like you're having to make that decision yourself. But I'm just going to read one paragraph of it because I love it. And so he says, I remember staring at the old man, then at my hands, then at Canada. The shoreline was dense with brush and timber. I could see tiny red berries on the bushes. I could see a squirrel up in one of the birch trees, a big crow looking at me from a boulder along the river. That close, 20 yards, and I could see the delicate lattice work of the leaves, the texture of the soil, the browned needles beneath the pines, the configurations of geology and human history. 20 yards. I could have done it. I could have jumped and started swimming for my life. Inside me, in my chest, I felt a terrible squeezing pressure. Even now, as I write this, I can still feel that tightness, and I want you to feel it. The wind coming off the river, the waves, the silence, the wooded frontier. You're at the bow of a boat on the rainy river. You're 21 years old, you're scared, and there's a hard squeezing pressure in your chest. What would you do? And he goes on from there. So that's my favorite piece of literature or part of it, and I'm looking forward to learning what you like.